Go ahead.
I was going to say, just talk about Mbakwe and the difference you've seen from him, maybe back when you originally knew him to where he's come.
That's a good question. He's more patient in the post. We've really seen that this year. And patient in getting what he wants. He's a difference maker. And we knew that in high school. He would have been with us the first year, but he missed so many games due to injury. And he came back at the end of the year and he still impacted our team. We went to the final 32. But he is, he's got real maturity on the court that's there with his patience. He's playing extremely hard, adding things to his game, especially with the way the pick and roll game. You know, sometimes he slips, sometimes he rolls, he spreads out his seals. But he has always been a tough-minded, very physical player. And now he's just that much more so after the year off. I mean, he's, I've always thought he would be a pro. Nothing's ever changed my mind on that, even with the injury. And any doubt that he'll play in the NBA a long time, and deservedly so. But he is, we said it last year, or before, we said it before he got hurt, we said it in the fall, and nothing's changed. He's as hard a matchup as there is in the league.
How are you seeing him progress within the injury, I guess? I mean, how much, as you're kind of watching?
Oh, I don't know. Well, I don't know what he did last year, but the patience in the post is something that takes time. I don't think you just get that from practice. I mean, practice is part of it, but he's not rushing. He's not hurrying his shot. You know, he's extending. If I was an NBA evaluator, I'd be real impressed with his development. If I was looking at it from that point of view, but as an opposing coach, you're looking at a guy that impacts his team on both ends of the court in multiple ways, and is just dominating the plus-minus for them.
You talked about on Monday night at Penn State about how good of an offensive rebounding team they are. But
We're the best in the country, we see now in the statistics. So,
what makes them so good?
well, they're relentless. They're very aggressive. They do it off the transition. They do it off the regular half-court offense, and then they're incredible off the free throw line. And we just got to be locked in full tilt to that, to all those aspects. And they lead the league in rebound margin by a long shot, so they're rebounding on both ends. I think when they go to the bench, some of those guys, they know their role. They have to get rebounds. I think Coleman is an outstanding rebounder. And but when you've got two guys like Trevor and Rodney Williams that are averaging a little over 6 offensive rebounds between the two of them, you know, there's not many teams in the country that would have two guys at that level. You know, one guy might have 4 and 2, but 3 and 3, that's a lot of offensive boards in a game. And I just think they never stop going. I mean, and if you don't meet them first, they're going to put you out of bounds. I mean, they really are. I mean, they're very aggressive. I mean, it is a complete fist fight when the shot goes up when they're playing. And we have to be the same way.
The aggression that they show, and then they play, I think, 10 guys playing basically 10 minutes. So the challenge that their depth kind of presents.
Well, I think that's what they had last year. Even without Trevor, they played a lot of guys, and I think it served them well in the season as it went on, and I think it served them in the NIT. But they're an improvement team. I mean, I've felt for a long time, long before he ever got to Minnesota, that Tubby Smith is a Hall of Fame coach, Hall of Fame worthy. I don't know when he's up for the ballot, but that there should be no question. Just like there should be no question on some of those other guys that are up right now, like Gary Williams and Rick Pitino and Jerry Tarkanian. Those guys should be locks. I'm not even sure all the guys that are up, but those guys impact the game a lot of ways, and Tubby does that. And I don't think Tubby's teams get as much credit as they should for how they improve, and from year to year and in the season. And really that's what's measurable, and I think that's what their team is. And I think the depth makes it be that way, because there's not a huge drop-off when they go into the bench. And I mean, you know they're in the bench because their starters are doing such a great job of scoring the ball. But when it comes to hard play, when it comes to effort, when it comes to transition offense and defense, there's not a big difference.
I remember you. Go ahead.
With guys like Mbakwe and Williams being, 6'7", 6'8" guys, obviously they're smaller than a lot of front courts, but they've been able to use their athleticism and use that as an advantage some this season. But against your team, does that exist, or with the quickness of your own bigs, does it kind of lose that edge?
Well, we'll see. I mean, we'll see. We'd like to think, we're some the same way. I mean, Cody's 7 foot, but he's pretty aggressive. And I don't know if I look at him in college basketball. they may not be prototype size, but when you take the height out and you put the length, the leverage, the quickness, the speed, their front line doesn't take a backseat to anybody. So really, I mean, Trevor's wingspan is incredible. And I don't know Rodney Williams off the top of my head, but I'm sure it's pretty strong. I mean, Ingram comes in off the bench and does things. I think they have a real relentlessness to them. And there's no difference. I mean, there's no doubt that Trevor makes such a huge difference in their lineup. And I think anybody that's known them and followed their team knew that was going to happen this year. But I think now you take what he's doing and you combine the fact of how improved they all are and the commitment level that they have to the rebounding. They're really, really good at helping each other on defense. So you can see not only are they one-on-one defenders because of their length and athleticism, but they're very good help defenders. So I think they've really grown as a team. And I like watching them because they play so hard. But I mean, we fully know what we're in for tomorrow. I mean, that was the only loss we had a year ago. We went in home. We went up there and played very well. We've had some great battles with them. So I think our guys are well aware. I don't think our freshmen are well aware yet. And maybe that plays into it. I don't believe they don't really have a freshman, do they? No, they don't have a freshman. So I mean, we're going to play 3 of them, maybe 4, but we're definitely going to play 3. So that factors into the game somewhere. But can't worry about it. We've got to go play.
I think at the beginning of the year you suggested that they were going to be, not necessarily a dark horse team, but one of the contenders. I mean, did you kind of see this coming?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, yeah. I mean, but not like I'm a prophet. I mean, you could just tell me Trevor's too good. Trevor Mbakwe is too good a player. I mean, but the improvement of those guys has been. I think when you look at the confidence that the Hollins guys have and the way Rodney Williams has continued to develop, Joe Coleman is tough, aggressive, athletic, and now playing with an incredible amount of confidence after what he did the other night. And then they bring up Avanisi, who's played big-time minutes. I mean, they're a deep team because they're not deep just because they're older and just because they're in numbers. They're deep because they have an understanding. It sure appears to me that they have an understanding of what it takes to win at a high level. And they've been in some great battles too. I mean, the Stanford game was a battle, and the Memphis game was a battle, and Duke was a battle most of the way, and that's the only one that they've lost. The Michigan State game, they came from behind it and got. So they've been through some things. So it's not like anybody in this game can look at it and say they have an advantage in one area. They've been in probably a few more closer games than we've been in, and they might be a little older than us in certain areas, but we're both going to try to be deep and both want to play good defense, both want to get out in transition, and it's going to come down to shot selection and rebounding as much as anything else. And I should say decision-making, because I think they lead the league or the country in steals, right? League in steals. They lead the country in?
I don't think
They lead the league in steals. So we want to create deflections. They want to get steals. Be a great game to sit there and watch. We didn't have to participate in it.
I know the schedule is what it is, but by the time Saturday rolls around, you guys will have played 2 games in 2 weeks. Just, would you prefer that you guys were playing a little bit more early?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely, when you start the Big Ten. But, it's January 12th, we're getting ready to play our first home game in the Big Ten too. That's not always the way it works, but it is what it is. So I'm glad we played the game after Christmas, and we certainly, I thought that was better for us, leading into the Big Ten. A year ago, we opened up on the 28th against Michigan State. So it'll come fast and furious now. So I have no complaints on how we've utilized our time, and I have no complaints with them at all and how they've utilized the time. And it's really hard for a veteran team when you play as few games as we've played. I mean, think about it, we haven't played in front of our students in a month. It's hard to believe. And it's very hard for a veteran team to stay locked in the way that they have, but that's a sign that these guys really, really want to be good, and they've stayed completely locked in.
Time for one more question. Talk about your own rebounding and defensive rebounding. When you looked at that film against Penn State, what was the issue there? Why were
Guard rebounds and getting 5 guys inside the foul line. And that's one thing that Minnesota, and we've really pointed that out, they do a great job of that. They have 5 defensive rebounders every time. They've really absorbed the fact that the big guys aren't going to get all of them. And when the guards get the boards, good things happen. And then they get their break started. And that's what we've got to be. We didn't do a very good job of that the other night. There were a couple, we didn't go up with two hands. You know, there's always going to be a few technical parts of it, technique parts of it, but it was just more, we did not block out well. We did not have our guards in the mix the way they needed to be. That's what it was more than anything else. A couple bad bounces, but that's part of the game too. But we've got to do a much better job of all 5 rebounding. And we have, so I think we will again. But it'll be tested hard tomorrow.
Anything new on Derek and Maurice?
Maurice was the first day that he's not cleared, but it was the first day that he did some stuff with us. Nothing contact. I was really excited about that. I thought he looked good. But we didn't put him in any, we did some 5-on-0 and some shooting drills and things. But I'd hope by sometime next week. You know, I would doubt Tuesday, but it's possible. But I would say probably next week stays more the target, and Derek should be okay. Okay? All right, thanks.